Two of the officers are on administrative duty after the release of that video of the arrest. Still a whole lot of questions about what you see and honestly what you don't see in that video, including why did it take a year for Police Chief Acevedo to finally see that video? That's my number one question to the chief this morning. We are lucky enough to have him on the phone with us. Good morning, Chief.
Hey, good morning. Well, you know, that's one of the things that we're looking at is when you look at that set of circumstances in that video, it's something that we would have liked to have been part of the conversation. And so that's something that we need to look at and look at how our process needs to change. But also, I need to understand the decision-making process of that specific chain up to the commander on what I saw in that video and everybody else did.
Let me start with that because Officer Patrick Spradlin and Officer Brian Richter, those are the two officers we're talking about. Officer Richter is the one who pulled over Breon. And after this happened, his supervisors and his supervisor looked at this video, correct me if I'm wrong, saw it, said this is a level 3 use of force, level 3 meaning there was no complaint filed and there were no injuries reported. So they do not send this up the chain of the command to you. What did they end up doing after they saw this video? Did they not say this means that something is wrong? Let's send this up to the chief. We don't like what we see. What happened?
They didn't think that the officer handled himself or the contact in the best way of and consistent with the way that we believe an organization needed to be handled. And but they just made the decision to handle it with counseling and training. And, you know, who knows? Maybe we would have had we been part of that conversation, the same conclusion. I can't say 100% until I get to know exactly everything that was going through everybody's mind. But I can tell you this, at a minimum, that I would have probably preferred that had been a internal affairs investigation so we can get a lot more information as a chain of command and as a department. And I would have wanted to speak directly with Ms. King through our investigators. So that's something that we have to find out how we got to that decision-making point. And then the piece of the conversation in the backseat of the police car, that's something that nobody reviewed because that was just simply as transport, even though we audit our tapes on a regular basis. You know, we have hundreds of thousands of hours of tape throughout the years, and we can't audit every single one of them. Which brings me to the point of the importance of us working as a department to build comfort with our community so people can come forward. Because had Ms. King actually complained on this, we would have been able to, as an organization, all the way up to the chief's office, been aware that somebody didn't feel that we did something right, and we would have been able to have a lot more eyes and a lot more minds on the decision-making process.
Well, Ms. King said she didn't make a report, she didn't file it because she simply does not trust police. And in that video, when we look at it, and when you see that his supervisors recommended counseling and to go back and look at that this was a training issue, what I want to know what you look at when you see that video. Would you have disciplined Officer Richter? Would you have given him some kind of other punishment other than saying, let's go to counseling?
I mean, I can tell there's a high probability that I might have handled it differently, but until I get to do my actual process, I'm not going to say 100%.
Is this a violation? Is this a violation that you would have said you're off the force?
You know what? We have issues I have to worry about in terms of the legality of because of the way it was handled. I've got to be cautious. I don't want to create more issues for us in terms of violating somebody's rights, i.e. that officer, and we get the city sued. But the point is this: you don't have to be a genius to realize that when you look at the way that we handled that, our job is to calm things down and to try to control and seek compliance in a manner that with the least amount of force. And when he moves so quickly, I mean, the second she says, "Can you hurry up?" That's when he decides to go hands-on. I've got some real concerns, some real problems, and there's a high probability things would have been handled much differently.
Okay, with that said, and the supervisors who looked at the same video that you looked at and that we're looking at right now and didn't think that it warranted a bigger response from you, even though you're saying, I probably would have handled this differently. Doesn't it say something is broken within your own department when it comes to training, when it comes to what is considered justifiable use of force. And if so, Chief, isn't that a heck of a problem to have these days?
Well, I think when I look at that and my entire chain of all of our commanders, my command staff that we brought in two days ago now, to look at this video and to have a conversation, look at that, I can say that I do feel better that other folks were seeing it a little differently, but it does give pause and it gives rise to asking some tough questions that will be asked of that chain of command. And we're not going to put the cart before the horse, but that is part of what's going through our assessment of a potential need, a high probability of need to really have some more critical thinking skills put in terms of the way we review those level 3s, and probably we're going to have to change their process in terms of how we actually review those level 3s, because nobody gets hurt, but but thank God nobody got hurt. But we can't wait till somebody gets hurt for us to make sure we're looking at things more critically.
Can you still discipline Officer Richter? Has the time passed where you can't issue any kind of internal discipline, or can you still issue something?
Well, anything over 6 months under 143, which is a labor code here in Texas, we can only issue a formal written reprimand. Having said that, one of the things that we are doing now with Internal Affairs is conducting an exhaustive audit of both of the officers' contacts and actions at work during the time frame where we could take action, and that's ongoing. We'll see what that reveals. The other thing that we've done at the request of the district attorney is open a criminal investigation that may or may not lead to charges, and that would also be actionable.
Okay, Officer Spradling and Officer Richter. Spradling is the one who transported her to jail in his squad car. Have you spoken to either one of them? Because yesterday, with the comments that we heard from Officer Spradling, and you were asked point blank, are those racist comments? You said yes. Have you had a chance to speak with either of these officers to figure out what were they thinking?
No, that's not the way it works. You can't just call somebody in like in the movies. You have to afford people under the law. It's the way I have to follow the actual law of the state and the law of this land, and so there will be an opportunity for that, but it has to be in a very specific prescribed manner.
Do you know if they have secured counsel?
No, I have no idea.
You don't know if they have gotten a lawyer?
No, but they will. But they will during the process. They will have the opportunity to, and actually, in almost 100% cases, they will have representation.
Okay,
both
Chief.
For any criminal or internal.
Chief Acevedo, I know it's been a long day for you yesterday and a long morning. I appreciate you calling in, truly.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too, sir.